Hello there. I'm a little bit under the weather, I would say. However, I wanted to come here and do a reading, a clue reading, and see what's going on with the collective energies. I'm using my clue board game and cards because it's fun. So let's go ahead and see what Spirit has to say about the current energies that we're experiencing. As far as these energies have shown themselves before, and it's familiar, but this time it feels more like seeing it as an observer and not being caught up in the narrative. It's like being an audience member instead of the actor in the experience. So being the character versus being the witness of the character makes a big difference, because these challenges that may come from Pluto in Capricorn, Saturn in Pisces, the challenges that I've noticed is, can we override an old narrative, an old storyline, an old pattern, an old dynamic? Can we override that with a conscious with conscious effort? And by that I mean being detached sufficiently enough to be able to see the experience as, oh, here's that reel of the story again. Here's that storyline. Here are the players. Here's the game that they're going to play. And here's the expected outcome. So let's play into it, or let's just watch it and see if just watching it and maybe tweaking it and responding differently, like having a new curiosity of the experience, to be able to kind of laugh about it or look at it in a way that it's like, you know how when you watch a movie and you just know it so well that you can be like, okay, this part is corny, or this part is, it could have been done different, or this part is, why did they do it that way? You know what I mean? And it's like, you could ask these questions about like the experiences you're having, and instead of like taking it personal and taking it in the same way that it's always been taken, respond to it in the same way. Like, if you're no longer playing the part of that role and you're just watching it be, you're letting the role players play out their parts. But your response to the role players, it's like, it's not even you right now playing that part. It is, you're watching. It's like watching yourself being played out by someone else, so that you can get a different perspective. And it's not so much someone else playing you, because you're still being that role, but you're not taking in the feedback as if you were in that position. So you're not feeling the effects of the feedback. You're sitting in the audience observing it, and you're watching the play out, and you're doing your role, but your consciousness, your perspective, your personality is not the one responding to what's going on in the dynamics. That's like a stand-in doing it while you get to watch it and see it differently. where you can either say, I really like how they're playing that role, or just be able to say, oh, I can see how we can make that role better. Or I can say, I can see how that storyline, how that role doesn't fit into that storyline. Anyway, that's kind of what I've been seeing in terms of these narratives playing out and then the creation of the new story. With Saturn in Pisces, it's like, can we structure a new dream? Can we structure a new idea, a new, just a whole new story? It's like a clean slate, right? Like, let's just do a new story altogether. We might have, the characters might be there, but different people are going to play those characters in different ways, unexpectedly, differently, so that we can, it's like, I guess, what do they call that? Like free form, or what do they call that when they just off the cuff, right? For no reason other than to bring out the creative juices to flow, just to see what wild and crazy things we can come up with that make it more cohesive, that make it better, that make it more to, well, if I can change this story, this is how I would change it, and this should be the outcome, and these characters should be able to play this. So it's not anymore of like, well, this is what they've always done, so this is what they'll always do. It's now, this is what they've always done, but if I had the power to see it differently, what would they do different? What would bring the best outcome? How would this movie actually be really good? And so with Pluto and Capricorn, we're kind of destroying the old structure. And by destroying, what we're saying is we're transforming. We're shifting. We're moving. It's taking like a clay, watering it down so that we can mold it and become very creative with the new structure, the new story, the new narrative. And I think that's what these energies are kind of asking us to do at this time. It's to really kind of move forward, recognizing the movies that we watch. And by that I mean the storylines of our life. We have these narratives, these storylines that play out as patterns. It's like every Christmas this happens, or every year that you see that these are the things, that these are the dynamics that occur in this, unit, in this organization, in this group, in this home, in this work environment, whatever it is, wherever it is. You can see that there's always this moment in time or moment in the story where something has to kind of like become an upheaval or become a big problem or become the big issue that we have to confront and face. And now it's like, there's that movie again. We're watching this movie where the hero has to kind of overcome this big challenge, and this big challenge is so scary and so shocking and so whatever. It's like being a kid and watching Indiana Jones and being shocked at every part. But when you're an adult and you've probably watched it 1,000 times, those moments, it's like you're not affected by the shock of it all. So now you get to kind of watch the reactions. You kind of get to look around and see, all this other stuff is going on. It's like those old movies you can see where, like, even as like Fast and the Furious, which isn't relatively that old, but like there's that one scene and you can see where they put in I think it was like a mannequin or whatever it is, a stunt double, and then they also had like a mannequin in one of the vehicles, one of the cars. But when you put it in slow motion, you can see it, and it's kind of funny because when you're in the movie, you're watching the movie, and you're like all in the characters, you're really you're not noticing the details. You're noticing, you're being kind of taken in by the emotion of the movie. You're being taken in by the storyline. You're like completely enveloped in it. So when you have technology that allows you to pause, rewind, slow down this many meters and speed up, and I mean, like, you can really take that step back and review everything in details. Like, it's like taking a one of those computers that you kind of like press and zoom out. I mean, obviously the phones have that now too, right? But you can like zoom in and zoom out just by touching the screen. And so that's how the mind is right now. It's like you can really go into a situation that would have been like a big old part of the story and now just kind of like pause it and like zoom in, zoom out, analyze, replay, review, question, change up, look at it anew, figure out why does the story kind of always, I didn't like it. I want to like it. So what would make that, like, let's say we got to watch that movie. So if we got to watch that movie, then we have to make it, a movie that I would like. How would I make it a movie I would like? And then you go into those details. And you start to see your reality kind of shifts a little bit because you're no longer feeling the feels of the old movie. So this is like what happens in our day-to-day. We have like these dynamics, these family dramas, or these work issues, or these scenarios that play out. Like for me, as growing up, I was always a very, I guess you would say, I liked driving fast. And so I guess to others I looked rather aloof because I was very airheaded, kind of, you know what I mean? Very Aries. I'm an Aries sun, but I have a Capricorn moon, but it's at 1 degree. So it's like I can see how as a youth, my Capricorn was there in different ways, but not in the ways that would have made me respond to life in the mature way that a Capricorn would. I would respond still out of my very Aries nature, very explosive, very dramatic, and we're talking about everything. Every emotion on the spectrum was very abrasive. So if I was driving fast and I would get stopped by the cops, it was extreme fear. It was extreme crying or extreme, oh no, So it was like, but then it was like extremely funny to the members of my family how I was always caught up in a drama. I was always getting stopped by a cop for speeding or doing some weird shit on the street. Like a U-turn where you're not supposed to do a U-turn. It's like, okay. So that kind of carelessness or that kind of drive to just kind of like overlook rules and be clueless, it's like kind of being in the game, clueless and just moving around. That experience, as you grow out of it, you can kind of see like, oh, maybe I should do this like this. And then you start to like respond less and less dramatic. So I think that's the biggest thing is the drama. There's a lot of drama in this energy too. It's like, I think that's part of the issues. Like, we do like drama, right? But we don't want to be in drama all the time. We don't, and then Drama has a lot of different energies. Drama can be exciting, drama can be passionate, but drama could also be like tiresome, draining, exhausting. Like, I really did like the movie Schindler's List, but that kind of drama, that kind of agony, and then it's like if you could feel the length of it, you could feel the tiredness of the. It's like if you really get into those movies, you can like get stuck in these very Saturnian type of vibes that feel really like dragging. And it's like, oh my God, it's like a bad conversation that you just want to get over. Or it's like somebody kind of like trying to prove a point that you actually got the point, but you don't feel they got the point because they're not responding as someone that got the point. So if someone got the point, there is no arguing. The fact that they're still arguing, someone didn't get the point. So that was a message for somebody. Oh, Lord. We talk about drama, and then all of a sudden we're talking about somebody making a point. But anywho, I'm not wearing my glasses, so excuse me for going through these slowly. So we have the lead pipe in the kitchen. So the kitchen represents third house energies here, okay? So we're looking at our surroundings, we're looking at where, our neighborhood. But with the lead pipe, this is 6th and 12th house energies, Virgo, Pisces energies. So we're creating this story and focusing on our surroundings. Can we change our perception? Can we create and structure the details of our surroundings? Are they up to par with what we believe our reality should look like? And if they don't, or they don't match, ask yourself why. If I expect to live and I dream of this view, I dream of this city or this, it's like, is the dream, how distant is the dream from the reality? In regards to your neighborhood, in regards to your surroundings, your relationship to like your siblings, your friends, your neighbors, just the people that you communicate with regularly, okay? So that's what's happening in our surroundings. So we have the ballroom. This is second house energy. This is our values. But this is like also our feelings. With the rope, which is 2nd and 8th house energies, Taurus and Scorpio energies. So this is definitely tying in, no pun intended, This is like our emotional values. Are we noticing our emotional values? Are we noticing who we're tied to, who we're connected to, and how that influences our emotions? How those connections, whether they're toxic or whether they're controlling or whether they are sacred or whether they are comfortable. Those emotions, those ties, you got to really look at. I'm tied to this individual. And you might feel like, okay, maybe I don't have to. Do you have to be tied to this individual? That's like saying, in this movie, this is your partner in this movie, or this is your geez, I can't think of the word. Your co-actor, man. Your co-creator. Anyway, this is who you're in the story with. Do you like the role that you're playing emotionally? Do those feelings resonate with your sense of self, with your being, with if you had to play this role long term, if you had to play this role for 9 months, 12 months, 2 years, 5 years. The basis of the emotional tone of this connection, can you do that emotional tone? And if so, for how long can you really realistically be in that vibration? So let's say you're with someone and you're supposed to be bubbly and upbeat and happy, because every time you're around this person, that's what the dynamic calls for. Bubbly, upbeat, happy. Because when you're not playing that role, there is no connection there. There is no dynamic there that's better. It's like the only way this works is if you're upbeat, bubbly. But can you uphold that long term in that same dynamic? Can the roles reverse? Can that person be the upbeat dynamic one and you play the role of the chill, relaxed one that doesn't have to do anything? Can that happen? Because that sounds like an even exchange. It's like, okay, in this dynamic, these are the roles. It's high point, low point. You play low point, I play high point. But can I play high point long term? No. Sometimes you need a low point. Sometimes you need a quiet point. Sometimes you need a relax, a actionless experience. That's like being with someone in the house and just doing nothing. Meaning, you eat when you feel like eating. You leave the house when you feel like leaving the house. You come home when you want to come home. Like there's nothing or no one there that cares, in the sense of nobody's monitoring you. Nobody is in charge of you, in control of you. And that's because you're upholding your end of your responsibilities or your, position in the connection. Anywho, next round. That's a conservatory over there with Dr. Orchid. Dr. Orchid in the conservatory. You might be doing some kind of like gardening, possibly. But the conservatory is at home, so this is decorating the home. Dr. Orchid is also 4th house energies. This is Cancer energies. So I find that perhaps there's like, in the home, you want to make it, you're tuning into the feminine space of the home. In other words, beautifying, making pretty, making comfortable, aesthetics matter, but also comforts and our needs being very well met. So this is definitely like, this is making our emotional state a priority based on how our environment is, but also our home, how best we feel at home. Like what scents, what aromas make you feel really good. And every room in the house doesn't have to have the same aroma. Some spaces you want to feel a sense of calm. Other spaces you want to feel a sense of aliveness, excitement. Other spaces you want to feel a sense of serenity, peace, more of a nirvana-ish vibe, as opposed, like calm and relaxed is not the same as meditative state energy. You know what I mean? Like there's like an essence of the spiritual, of a higher calling. Anyway, we're talking about really focusing on the spaces in the home and figuring out how those spaces can be utilized to really bring out the most of the space. Our space, no matter how small it is, we can always make it really Make it a space that is self-expression, that is an expression of yourself. Your environment is an extension of your character, of your personality. So it's like, if you're playing this role on the set, on stage, and this will be the set where this is your home, you could either have the set designers design your home, and then you're sitting in there, you're like, I can't even feel at home in this environment. I can't play this part if the environment doesn't look the part, right? So it's like, how can you be a rich, luxurious woman, queen of an era that is beyond this reality? How can you be that? Living in a dungy, dark castle or something like that, you know? So it's like, obviously, it needs to match. The environment needs to match the character that's living in the environment. So, let's look over here with the dining room. We have the revolver in the dining room. This would be equivalent to fifth house energies. But also fourth house energies. So we're actually looking at 5 energies when we look at the dining room. This is more, you could say it's Mercury, but I also see this area more as Uranus energy. It's like the change that comes, that excited, shocking shift. It's like the surprise element. But it's like going back to, because revolver in Spanish, it looks like revolver, like to go back to. Go back to a time when something like, remember a time when something surprised you. It's like a miracle. It's like, holy shit, I just found this. And you're so excited, or you're so happy. That's what this kind of feels. It's like, can you recreate that? Can you recreate that spark? That spark that feels like, yes, this, I'm so excited because change is here, or change has arrived. It's like when you see the story has changed. It's like you've been waiting for so long to be 18, because let's say that when you turn 18, you're going to officially start college or something like that. And then finally, the moment arrives. Oh my God, you're a college student. Everything changed. Now that also, I had a recent remembrance of when I left to go to the military. My whole life up to that point, it's like it changed. That was the change. Like, when kids like move out of the house, even though I had technically moved out of my parents' home and I was still in the vicinity of my family. But when I went to the military, it's when I really, like, things never went back to the way they were. I never again was, daughter in the family. Like, I had my own home now, or I had my own vocation. I was like that. So I'm getting a sense of that kind of change is what we need to look forward to, because it's a positive change. It's a change that brings us into abundance, a change that brings us into a new role, a change that brings us into like a new dynamic, new characters, new routine, new experiences. That it's like your whole reality just changes, and it's like, oh shit. It's like going from being single to being in a relationship, being in a partnership, and then deciding to get married, or being married and deciding to have a child, or you know what I mean, like having a transformation of situation where now you get to experience this reality in a different way. It's refreshing. So we have the billiard room and the kitchen. So the billiard room is six energies of the six, the number six, which is like balance, right? I always look at it like the left and right brain, like merging the two together. But also you get a sense when, like, whenever you see any environment that has a billiard, whether that's at a sports bar or whether that's at someone's house, like, it really says a lot about the person that likes to play, or to compete, or whatever the hell you call it, to billiard. People that like to billiard. Play pool, okay? Play pool. It's a relaxing game, even though it's very, I notice it's very competitive. But what's relaxing about it is the fact that it's strategic. And the fact that you have to think, and the fact that you have to calculate, and that you're being kind of tested on your strategy. You're being tested on your ability to call the shot and make it happen. So every once in a while you'll have a newbie come in and play instinctually really well, but have absolutely no reasoning behind it or no strategy behind it. It just seems like the most natural thing to do from their standpoint. But from an individual that takes the game very seriously, they see this person as cocky, arrogant, show off, or they'll have to find a way to, like, knock them down and be like, beginner's luck. You know what I mean? Like, calm down. This takes years of practice. And indeed, to dedicate oneself to the game and to really know strategy and to really enjoy the art of the game, it takes due diligence to really participate. But that goes with anything, right? And any passion we have, it requires, what makes someone really skillful in something is being able to go full circle with it, being able to see, like, yeah, you've studied this a long time, you've known this a long time, you've done this forever, and you're really great. But when you see someone new come along, and you know that they're really great by accident, or they're really great by nature, or they're really great by just sheer natural talent or skill. People that are in a position that it didn't come to them that easy will become a little bit grudgeful, or will become a little bit kind of like, who do you think you are, kind of thing, right? That's okay. That person will eventually appreciate, I assume, should appreciate, or would be, inspired even to mentor that talent, to be participant of that skill or that quality, and to be able to help nourish it and flourish it and grow it to be even greater than all of us together, kind of thing. So it's like when I see my niece, who has like a natural gift of being, she's sensitive, and I can see her people reading skills are really, really attuned. I love to nurture that because it's something that not everyone has. Not everyone is sensitive to others. Not everyone takes on a lot of others' emotional weight. And when I see that and I hear her talk about, the people in her life and how she interacts and how thoughtful she can be about others, and how that makes her a really good strategist because she kind of can play out the patterns of people she cares about. And that goes with this Cancerian energy here too, in the 4th house, is really knowing the needs of those around you. But you only know them really well when you know yourself and how you feel around people, and then how you see how people shift into a better, it's like managing the temperature, not just for yourself, but managing the temperature of others in respect to you, of course. It's like the temperature has to be just right, just balanced. Like this 3 here, the environment has to be just right. Like it's like medium rare, or you know, no extremes. We don't want a lot of one thing. We want a balance. I've said this before, and it just comes out that way. I'm not even trying to like make that, you know what I mean? Like sometimes I hear things that I say and it's like, I'm not the one that's saying that. I'm not the one that said that. But the fact that it came out again, it's like, okay, that's a message. So we have the library. This is like Akashic Records. Oh my God, the library with the library. Library in the library. This is 7th house. This is spiritual. This is Neptune energies. This is really going deeply into your historical records, deeply into the library of your DNA, the library of your life cycles, the library of your your heritage, your line, your... This is having access to the full scope of your ancestry. Now this could also be your spirit team, like what group of angels you come from, or what starseed you come from, what constellation you come from. It can go as far as that, because we said Neptune, right? So we're looking at things from otherworldly. But also, this could be tapping into past lives and how they have to do with this life. How certain archetypes have come through to create the archetype that is you today, here and now. So having a full archive of information available, having your spirit team available to you, being able to access anything. You just have to ask. You just have to put the intention out there. But all information is accessible now. All information is available to you. There's no limit to what you can discover. So there's always something to learn. There's always depth to grow into. There's always character to build. There's always new curiosities to discover. I mean, there's just so much. Infinite amount of information that you can kind of, like we said, zoom into, zoom out of, and zoom into a different area, branch out here, branch out there. Something like that is going on in your life, where you can see this area of your life, whether it's in your relationships, like, or a person even, that you feel like, wow, this like person's world, I can never get tired of them. I can never get bored of them. It's not like, like when you're a kid and you have storybooks and it's like once the story's over, it's like, oh, it's so short. Like, you want to see what the next book is going to be, or you want to, and then you grow up into like, Harry Potter books type, or even Twilight. I'm talking about like the progression of young girls or boys. Kind of like, you have like a hunger for more depth, or a hunger for more, like when it comes to the creativity, you want to be able to like experience more of it than you may have had interest in doing so before. So it's like there was a time where I didn't really have much interest in movies because my life story was so interesting to me that I couldn't get bored with what was in my own environment, what was going on in my own reality. So movies didn't really, that would have been boring to me. I don't want to sit down and watch other people's stories while I'm kind of still in awe of my story. I'm in awe of what's going on around me. I'm diving into every experience that I can in my life story. But then your life story kind of sucks at a certain point. And you're like, I don't want to be in my story. I want to be like not here. So then you decide you want to escape. And when you decide you want to escape, you start to dive into fantasy. You start to dive into other stories, other people, other experiences, testing out different ways to pass the time, okay? Different ways to enjoy yourself, different ways to be entertained by your reality. Because if you're not going through drama, or if you're not having fun, then it's like, what's all that in the middle? It's just like boredom, or it's like stillness. So sometimes doing that, we can go into meditation and learn to discover like, oh, maybe my life was too chaotic and I needed to like go into retreat mode, hermit mode, and really dive deep into my Akashic, really dive deep into me, and look at the inner realms of me. Let me get as curious about my inner realms as I have been about my external world. And then that exploration can become addictive, or that exploration can become so primary that the external world starts to feel like a distraction. It starts to feel like this reality is, you take it for granted, or you don't even want to participate in it, because it's like the inner reality is so filled with everything you want, everything you dream of, everything you want to experience, everything. It's like you creating a perfect world for yourself internally. Because the external world is so dysfunctional, or so bad, or so not good, or so unbearable to deal with. And that's not for everybody the same case, and not to that depth, I'm sure. But, you know, you can see how that plays out eventually in some people, where they're so dissatisfied with life that it's like, oh, I'd rather be gone. And it's like, oh, okay. I mean, that's a person that hasn't seen full circle the purpose of who they are, the purpose of why they're here, like the gift that it is that you get to wake up every day and you have an opportunity to create the perfect world outside as within. And that means your reality doesn't have to suck forever. Your reality can, you know, you have a choice to make your reality not suck. You have a choice to make your reality a dream. And I lived a dream life for many years, at least in my consciousness. I was like, yay, I love my life. Yay, I love my family. I love my friends. I love my job. I love my people. I love my hobbies. I love what I'm doing. But in between all that, I love my life because it was going in the direction that I believed is where I wanted to go. It's like I had a map and I was just following the steps to the map, but that was me guiding myself, right? Taking the steps of the map, my library, and be like, okay, today I want to explore this realm, or I want to learn this thing, or if I learn this, I can do that thing that I really like to do. So I would go set out to learn the thing that I want to do, or do the thing I want to do. Okay, now I want to do this. Now I want to do that. Now I want to try this. Now I want to try that. And that goes with anything. It goes with the kind of dynamics you want to have. It goes with the foods you want to try, the experiences you want to have, the cars you want to drive, the houses you want to live in, the places you want to visit, the kind of relationships you want to have, the kind of things you want to learn about, the kind of things you want to do, the kind of games you like to play, whatever. Yeah, that's what that energy is. That's what this is here. is having access to all of that for that. And it's like, okay. And sometimes we get so caught up in the movie of our life that sucks temporarily, because it's not gonna, it wasn't always like that. In the midst of all that great love and I'm enjoying every step I'm taking, there was a lot of drama in the mix of that. And all that drama, yeah, it made for an exciting story. It made for an exciting, self-expression. It made for to be the life of a party, laughing at myself. You know what I mean? Like, let me tell you about my drama. Ha, 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 ha. And everybody's laughing. Ha, ha, ha. Oh my God, that's so funny. Oh my God. Why? Because I could laugh at my misfortunes. I could laugh at my mistakes. I could laugh at the horrific experiences, because I can, in the moment I'm experiencing, it's like, oh, my life is over. Or, oh my God, this is so horrible. Or, oh my God, I'm so sad, or I'm so angry, I'm so, so deep, dark, and whatever. Whatever that was, whatever that experience may have been, it was, to me, short-lived and temporary. Like, by the time, like, I could see myself going through something, and as I'm going through it, I'm like, really? You're going to go through this? Like, look what you put yourself into. You put yourself in a pickle again. You know what I mean? Whatever that is. It could be the stupidest shit. It's like, you got into this kind of relationship again, or you reacted to this situation the way you did the last time, and that didn't go so well for you. Or you went ahead, it's like you gyp yourself. You play yourself, you lie to yourself, you create drama for yourself. All this you do to yourself. So when you have a library of your history, of all of your DNA, of everything you could ever like tap into and tap out of, you'll start to see, it's like, oh, I don't want to tap into these things, but I can laugh at them. I don't want to tap into those things. Those things were like really weird. I don't want to tap into those things because I didn't really create that. That shit came out of like left field. I don't know where those things came from. And I'm really not interested in exploring that. So you can close certain doors. You can stop reading certain books. You can enter, you know what I mean? You have a plethora of stories that you can dive into for your life. And then have that gratitude that every day you get to build it. Every day you get to create it. It's like my internal reality that I want to live. Not because I'm dissatisfied with my reality now. Because you have to get to acceptance. You have to accept and appreciate where you are. So sometimes you just got to face reality. And that people hate that. They're like, oh no, I want to live in my dream world. I don't want to be here. But the less you face your reality, the more it piles up. That same nagging thing that says you got to do this, you got to do that. And nobody wants to feel obligated to do anything. But there are things you are responsible for. There are things that you got to do. There are things that you need to do for your life to flow and be smooth. So it's like you take on responsibilities knowingly or unknowingly, but nobody leaves this reality, this world, existence, whatever, without learning lessons. And to learn lessons, it means you have to accomplish certain tasks. You have to accomplish certain things. That isn't something that we were born with a plan for, but we're not trees that just, come out of the ground and do their thing naturally. We are different than that in the sense that, yes, we are born into this realm and we do our things naturally, but we also have a consciousness. And that consciousness allows us to communicate in the physical world. And when we communicate in the physical world, we have a consensus that says we're creating this reality together. And how we're creating this reality together depends on what we collectively consciously put out into the world that's within ourselves. So nobody's responsible for your storyline. However, you do coexist in a reality where others can affect your perception of freedom, can affect your perception of safety, can affect your perception, because you can only control and do what you can do with you, but then you come to certain limitations in the real world, and that's where you got to do certain work. You have to figure out, what are these limitations? How did I manifest these limitations? What does it even mean to be limited when you're so used to being unlimited, unencumbered, free? How did you get caught up in situations where you don't feel free, like where your choice was taken from you? Well, that can come from certain relationships limit what you can and cannot do. Certain jobs exclude you from engaging in experiences you may want to try to do, but you can't based on your job. Certain habits may force you to be in a hospital, or some way somehow debilitated to the point that you cannot take care of yourself, and now you're dependent on some other individuals to take care of you. Dependency on anything can limit you. That doesn't mean you don't depend on people. That doesn't mean you don't depend on jobs. But it has to be an experience that both parties are equally benefiting from. It just feels like the corporation benefits from your loyalty to them, but your loyalty doesn't guarantee, that you're provided for by that company forever, right? They could fire you at any point, and you just have to take a severance pay and call it a day. So loyalty doesn't go both ways when it comes to companies. So that's what I guess we get to choose what storylines we buy into and we don't buy into. We can debate all day morality, but that's a waste of time. You have to decide what you're going to buy into, what storyline you're going to play into, and what lessons you need to learn to overcome any limitations. So anywho, in the study hall, we have the dagger. So someone is either learning communication, or they could be studying communications, they could be studying environmental sciences, I don't know, philosophies. This individual, this could be you, this could be someone you're dealing with, is really learning about the truth when it comes to a situation they're dealing with. So, studying to learn about the truth. I mean, you can't just take somebody's word at face value. You have to explore and experience your own, what is true for you. And what is true for me, does it align with my own reality? Am I going against my reality? Is my reality going against me? Or am I actually in alignment with my reality? Does my reality support my truth? If it does, great. And if it doesn't, you got some studying to do, some learning to do, because it's like being in a maze and being stuck in a dead end and feeling, are you going to stay there forever, in a dead end forever? Or are you going to be willing to say, let me go this way and see what happens? I mean, you already know what there is, and it's like, okay, I've been here for this long and nothing is, it's like, okay, I got to this dead end and it's been quite some time, so maybe I need to go explore other places so that I can learn what else is out there, so I can learn or discover or communicate with someone, something new, different. Okie dokes. So then we have here in the hall the conservatory. Interesting, we only have Cancer energy as a character here. We don't have much else. Everything else is a space and an object. So this has a lot to do with more of ourself, our inner home, you know, like our heart in relation to our environment and the things in our environment. The conservatory has to do with our home, and then the hall is 8th house things, our resources, our shared resources with others, and our, you know, sacred connections. This is taboo things. This is the thing not everyone knows about, and the stuff that we keep hidden. So there's something hidden in regards to the home. Something hidden in regards to maybe... Oh, I just heard conservatorship. Isn't that what they did with Britney Spears? And that's supposed to be to protect the person. If the person is not of right mind to make decisions for themselves, and it's in their best interest to have someone take care of them, someone speak on their behalf, then that is very necessary. You want someone that can be trusted to do that. And you should have multiple people observing the conservatorship, meaning the person responsible, because this goes like for like hospital situations where it's like you're responsible for someone's health. Like you want to make sure it's somebody that is in alignment with the patient or the person that's being conserved. So, finally, we're in the lounge with the billiard room. So I do see a small gathering, very pensive, however. This could be, I don't know, I just got an image of a masculine smoking a cigar and playing pool in a very, like, dimly lit space. Even if he is engaging with one or two people, they don't feel people that even know him. It could just be people that just vibe, and they can play with like minimal words. Just chill. It's like we just want to chill and relax. This could also be that setting that we were talking about, like when we're looking at the rope in the ballroom. Do you really want to be with somebody that you have to be a certain way, like you got to be fixed in a certain way for all the time? Or do you want to be with somebody that you can just vibe with, lounge with, that despite what the occasion calls for, despite what costume you have to wear, or despite what mask you need to wear to engage with the world and the reality out there, despite all that, when you're in your dimly lit room, relaxed in your safe space, in your own space, balanced with yourself, is this person home to you? Is this person someone you can feel complete with, someone you can relax with, someone that feels they understand you fully, entirely? That's the message. I'm gonna come back soon. Take care.